Hey, do you want to overthink something with me today? Okay, let's do it. All right, so you guys know that I've been just getting rid of stuff. Been like, oh, now it's time to get rid of that. And there's been a lot of changes that have been happening here. Some of you think it's because I'm, losing my mind. Fair. Maybe I am. I don't know. The internet does weird things to people. I believe it's because, honestly, God is showing me that I have put video games in the fulfillment category when it should be in the enjoyment category, and seeking Him should be in the fulfillment category. It's something I'm working through, but that's my journey. Continuing forward, I was looking at why is this happening? Why do I want to potentially, let me move this slide, potentially get rid of so many things? And so I looked at words that exist in this, with this idea. What's a word that would properly encapsulate the idea of paring down to focus in one direction? What does that look like? And I stumbled upon the word curate. And I was like, okay, curate. I like that. That makes it sound special. It sounds fancy. And so, curate. Let's do a word study. I did that when I was going to Bible school to prepare sermons and stuff like that. You do word studies. So I did a word study on the word curate. And I found something very interesting. First, let's go with the Latin word that it comes from, and that's cura. Cura, a word that a lot of us RPG fans are very familiar with. Cura being the second form of cure before the word curaga, which is to heal. Okay, well, that's interesting. Why would they use the word cura in these games? Well, if you look at what cura means, it means to care. Now, the original version of the word care was actually in relation to sickness, to care for, taking care of, and was used in, I think it's a Germanic word, was used originally to show, I am going to care for something, right? Now we use care in a type of attention. There's multiple meanings for the word care, at least in the English language. I care about this, and right, care, I intentionally want to focus, or I like this, right? Something along those words. I'm not a wordsmith, but in my word study of the word curate, I wanted to understand more about it before I was to make a full cup about it. My video game hobby has been all over the place over this past year. A lot of it has to do with this space. How am I going to be the, successful gaming YouTuber? That's changed a lot in my mind. A lot of it, I thankfully will say, is God putting a peace in my heart at this. And He's going, the gaming YouTube thing isn't really where you're going to be. You're actually going to be more of the faith-based gaming YouTuber, but we'll see how that pans out. And so that I like that a lot more. I feel like that will grant me more fulfillment than just trying to tell you to go out and buy a Steam Deck, which I still think is one of, if not the greatest handhelds that we have right now. Nothing changes in my mind when it comes to my gaming, honestly. I think that really I have a more healthy balance of where it lives in my heart. And rather, it doesn't live in my heart. It actually just lives in my day-to-day, this is what I do. But when it comes to this hobby, how can I curate it? How can I distill it? How can I make it more enjoyable for me? Because I believe that there is a sickness in this hobby. I believe that sickness is something that would be defined biblically as gluttony, but for me, I don't think that gluttony is necessarily really what we need to define the video game sickness, and rather overconsumption. I think overconsumption. Not that we are in a spot where we are playing too many video games, but rather we're in a spot where there is so much piled on top of our table, which would be, this is like our gaming hobby, that we no longer can figure out how to navigate through it. And before we know it, we just go, I can't even figure this out, and we leave. We go. We're gone. We don't want to do this anymore. We're out of here. I wanted to understand, how can we clear some space so that when we come to our gaming, enjoying a wonderful thing, we only have one, maybe two options to deal with. These are physical representations of the gaming hobby. This isn't my decision. I just had these on hand. A Switch Lite and an emulation device. I'm not trying to say anything. That being said, in thinking of curating my gaming experience, I think that a lot of it comes down to allowing myself to let go, we're going with smoke today, of this hobby in a way that, or the way that I used to look at it. I used to look at gaming as, how can I touch all of it? I am now in a space financially, to a certain extent, business-wise, YouTube-wise, where I am able to have every different style and way to play as I can. And society would dictate more is better. More power is better, more options are better, more games are better, more subscriptions are better, access to all at all times without having to decide anything is better. In fact, you don't even need to make a decision anymore. We will suggest for you what you should play based on our machines understanding what you like, because you are giving us every single decision you've ever made. And before we know it, we don't know whether we're making the decision to play something like, I don't know, Elden Ring DLC, or if we're like, wait, I don't know if I like this. I say Elden Ring DLC because I have this intrinsic desire to like Elden Ring, and it has nothing to do with the genres that I actually enjoy, because if you look at the genres I actually enjoy, you're going to understand very quickly that games like Elden Ring or Sekiro or Blasphemous or any of these Souls-like, Metroidvania, dark, seedy, somewhat medieval games aren't really at all what I've ever liked. And every time I try to enjoy them, to be a part of what we all think is the popular thing, I end up sitting here disappointed, unfulfilled, and quite frustrated, and make a video about me switching to Nintendo. It's a recipe for disaster, honestly, and to have a video game channel where I'm trying to devote myself and my being to a certain thing and define myself as YouTube requires you to do so, I realize that, well, that's just not going to work for a man who defines himself as someone who loves Jesus, because that's just not what you do. You don't go, oh, I love Jesus, but I am a Nintendo guy. That's not how that works. Clearly. Oh, Rapport, you do it right. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been drinking my favorite coffee shop, Rapport Coffee Roasters. I'm not sponsored at all by them, but I've been drinking their coffee for the past week. Being in San Diego, I'm not there anymore. And thank you, Trade Coffee, for your subscription service, but I'm probably going to end it because I just really like my local coffee shop's coffee. So while I've tasted probably over 100 different coffees over the past 2 years of me using Trade, in the past 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months of using it in these cups, I can say from 100 cups, 100 different coffees easily, Rapport Coffee Roasters is the best coffee that I have ever tasted. And this is just, what is this? I don't even know what this is. This is their Ecuador. I have a whoosh whoosh that's going to blow my mind. I know it'll blow my mind, and I'm going to be careful because that coffee's my wife's favorite. So good. At any rate, this curating process has led me down a path that I think at first was scary, but I'm realizing is more exciting. I have kind of limited myself to just 3 consoles currently, and I don't think that any others are going to make the cut moving forward for multiple reasons, and let me explain. Right now, I have a Steam Deck, which I would consider a console. I enjoy that. It grants me access to all the games I need to get access to if I would like. The graphics are lower, so it actually limits my gaming a little bit. I'm not going to go out and purchase some crazy, huge, high-end AAA title that requires a lot and that probably had multiple millions of dollars behind it, because it's just not going to run well. And I am also going to save myself from the disappointment that this multi-million, if not close to $1 billion game cost to be released incomplete, honestly broken, and with another additional $60 to $70 worth of what they claim to be DLC, but what really is just the rest of the game. It's actually saving me from that. Games like, I'm not even going to throw anything under the bus, but games that are being released incomplete, that are claiming to be the best, next, greatest thing, I, just by the nature of the device not being able to run it well, am able to avoid. Great. That's helping me curate, right? I'm helping myself. I'm putting parameters. I have a Nintendo Switch because the Nintendo franchises, such as Mario, Link, all these guys, are something I find myself to be very excited about. I like those things. And curating and focusing and really trying to make a distilled and unbelievably intentional library is something that I find to be very, very liberating. Liberating. Who would have thought that creating defined parameters and limiting my exposure and limiting my decisions would liberate me? Odd thought, but it has. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is great. This is my emulation device, my third console. I don't need it. There is nothing about this that is necessary. This is merely just, honestly, what I play Pokemon Fire Red on, because it's better than playing Pokemon Fire Red on my Game Boy Advance SP, because the light sucks, and it's just too small for my hands. It is what it is. That's what that does. I play my old school Pokemon games on it. Maybe overkill, but it grants me a little bit of excitement. A lot of bit of excitement. I think reprioritizing where gaming lives in my life has really helped quite a bit. Allowing it to be out of the fulfillment category and into the enjoyment category has created a very healthy relationship with video games. But it's weird because video games have also been my job. So, having to navigate that the best I can. When it comes to, honestly, this gaming setup for me, what excites me more than, the gear being so tight and minimalist is that I can say, or it's easier to say, I'm just not going to be able to play that. I've recently purchased the Kingdom Hearts collection, and I'm playing through that, and in a moment of weakness, I went on to Steam, and I purchased 4 games that I promptly the next day returned. That's my brain, ladies and gentlemen. Just be okay with it. Because in a moment of weakness, I thought, ooh, this is a good deal. I purchased the Blasphemous games, and I'm like, let's play Blasphemous. This is a game I want to play. But then I was like, I don't like Metroidvanias. I'm enjoying the first 30 minutes, but then I don't like Metroidvanias. And also the visuals, and some of the subject matter for me was a little bit too much, and so I was just like, this is definitely not for me. I realized that I am very, very weak when it comes to my decisions. Very. I'm easily influenced by some of the marketing. I'm easily influenced by the fact that I saved $60 and only spent $20 on 4 games, but in reality, I'm out $20. Does that make sense? With libraries growing more and more, my Steam library was 0 when I had my Steam Deck OLED, but now it is 59. There is no reason for that to keep growing for me. Yes, Dredge is a great game, and I'm sure that I'm going to enjoy it. But I just purchased 9 Kingdom Hearts games, or 10 Kingdom Hearts games. I think 7 are playable. I'm set. I'm set. Being a part of the DLC conversation around Elden Ring may feel like I'm missing out, but it's a flash in the pan that will eventually be gone in the next 2 weeks. People are, whether they love it or hate it, are talking at length about this Elden Ring game DLC. And for some, the From Software or FromSoft, whatever they're called, is exciting for them. And I'm not dogging Elden Ring. In fact, I think Elden Ring and that specific game as a whole is probably one of the greater games released in the past decade. But I personally have no attachment to those games at all. And my strive and my yearning to play them is simply because I just want to be seen by others. That's a sickness. And curating my experience, I believe, is adding a little bit of healing to this. What happens when you have an experience that you've curated to the best of your ability, and now every decision made is an intentional one? That's pretty freaking cool, I think. I mean, part of the reason why I went vinyl is because I can't decide I'm going to listen to the original album of Morning View versus the streamed version of it. I don't have the opportunity to skip a song, and all of a sudden I'm hearing a lyric that I would have never got to because I would have just skipped next. These kind of intentional decisions are ones that I believe are happening less and less and less. And curating your video game library would potentially grant you access to the games that you have already purchased, and maybe also save you a couple dollars, and even more so, add some more enjoyment, maybe? I don't know. For me, I am loving my experience. I played over the week Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. I had one gaming session with my buddy playing Street Fighter 6 with my fight pad. It was awesome. I played against him. I played against his son. I got my butt handed to me. It was fun. And then I proceeded for the next 4 days on my vacation when I had moments during nap time, when I was the one in charge of watching the kids at the cabin while the family was down at the beach, while they were, the kids were sleeping, so someone had to be there. I played Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door. It was so great. It was so fun. It was so awesome. And plenty of games are releasing. Tons. I would say, what happens if you don't purchase day 1? What happens if you purchase day 30? Do you think that you might still purchase? I don't know. I know for me, the excitement of games is very well advertised. But maybe, just maybe, taking a step back, curating my experience, and addressing the real problem here, which is overconsumption. Not because I'm over-consuming, but because there's too much to consume. Maybe that is what's hurting some of this experience. I don't know. Food for thought? Weird thing to say after the word overconsumption, but it is what it is. Overthinking this hobby has led me to be closer to God, as well as increased my pursuit and strengthening my relationship with God. And so that's not going to change. I think that overthinking this in your eyes is truly just thinking about it to me. So I hope you enjoyed this. Cheers to you, and let me know what you think. As always, happy gaming.